And yes, so I'm going to chat about our one-to-one sessions as well. So something that we've been thinking about offering, and again, it'd be really nice to get feedback from people in the chat, or jump in, please do, is we've been discussing the idea of offering some one-to-one video or audio chat sessions with students. I think predominantly the best group at the beginning to start looking at would be those students who are maybe year 13 and haven't got a good idea of what they want to do or what's going to happen come results day. I am very conscious that at this time of year, I know myself and Kate specifically will be spending a lot of time talking to or visiting colleges, giving advice and guidance to those students who haven't made those decisions. And I know a lot of you have probably been working through your lists to make sure that you do know what everyone is doing and where they're going. So if you at any point do feel like that's something that your students would benefit from, obviously end of term's coming up, but this is an offer that will extend throughout the summer as well. So very much a similar interaction that students would get at a HE fair with us at a stand with our prospectuses. We will be able to have maybe a 10-minute chat with them, talk about their options, tell them what Teesside obviously has available, come clearing, specifically for those year 13s. So that's also something that I wanted to give you an update on and something that we've been thinking about offering. So if anybody does have an interest in that or would like to pick my brains about that, please do drop me an email afterwards. I'll mention it in the chat and I can get in touch with you and we can look to arrange that. The last thing I'm going to mention as well, which is something that we're excited about on our updates, is our Speak to a Student platform that we are hoping will go live Monday, the 6th of July. And this is an opportunity for those of you that aren't familiar, on our website we have the online chat function that's manned by the student recruitment team. So if you have any questions, you can jump on there and ask. I know quite a few of you do use that if you need a quick answer to a query. And it's manned by the recruitment team, so you do get a really in-depth, knowledgeable response from our recruitment team. But what we found is that a lot of students would like to quite hear the current students' voices as well as the staff. So we've set up a Speak to the Student platform, which will run in exactly the same way as the online chat on the generic website, except they'll be able to speak to a student ambassador. So that student ambassador can advise on, it might be subject specific. So on the website, the student ambassadors will have profiles where they can read a little bit more about the students. But then they also might want to ask about accommodation. They might see that a student's moved from a particular area and they want to ask what it's like being a student from, you know, Barnaby that's going to Middlesbrough, for example. So we do have local students, we have national students, so those students that have travelled quite a long way to come to Teesside. We also have international and postgrad, so there's quite a nice variety of students there. So hopefully prospective students will take advantage of that and get that chance to speak more peer-to-peer and get that authentic sort of response. And obviously our student ambassadors are great and they are real advocates for the university, but they're also very honest and they have an insight into university life and being a student that we as staff don't. I do like to pretend that I'm still like down and with the students, but I'm not. I'm getting to that point where it's not acceptable anymore to pretend that I'm that age. So it is really good for them to have somebody that they can talk to that's on their level, that's about their age range, and has had similar experiences. So just to make you aware of that, when that goes live, I will obviously drop you all an email and ask your appropriate contacts to drop you an email to let you know that's live. And that's something maybe the students can have a look at over the summer if they think of questions and they're not sure what to do as well. So that is my update. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to have a quick look. No, Steph's joined the meeting, which is brilliant. So I think I'll hand over to Sharon. Sharon, you're here, aren't you? Oh, you've muted, Sharon. Oh, there we go. We can hear, I think.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. I've got this habit of putting it on mute to try
we all do it.
Limit the interference. And you just start talking and then you suddenly realise. But yes, I am here, and thanks for inviting me along. What I'm going to do is talk to you about the Department of Education and Social Work in the School of Social Sciences, Humanities and Law. And I've got some slides that I want to share with you so you don't have to kind of stare at my face for the whole time, which is probably not a great experience for anybody. So the slides themselves can be made available if you want them, and if you find anything in them that you might want for future reference, I'll make sure that that Kate has them and can maybe pop them on a site for you somewhere so that you've got access to them. So I'll just share my screen with you if that's okay. Whoops, a daisy. Just bear with me. Okay, sorry, let me try that again. Sorry, I've got that many things open on here. It's ridiculously crazy. Oh, it's not showing. I'll talk you through it and then we can perhaps share the slides later, if that's okay. Is that all right with everybody? Yeah, I don't know why it's not showing. Let me try that.
Sharon. Oh, this looks, there you go.
Is it there?
It's there.
Oh, lovely. Okay, that was very odd. I don't know what it was doing there for me. But it's just negotiating through it. I'm not really sure of. I shall try. So my name is Dr. Sharon Dawson-Waters, and I'm Head of Department for Education and Social Work. And I want to talk to you about the programmes that we have at Teesside. So I'm just going to... Can everyone see that okay?
Yeah, fine, Sharon, that's fine.
Yeah, okay. So we've got some really exciting developments going on at the moment in education and social work. But I thought I would just give you an update as to our current offer and what we're doing at the moment in terms of our education career paths for students that want to come to Teesside. So, and social work, which is a new part of my department, and I'm slowly getting my head around that as well, which has taken me a little while. So, as we have three main undergraduate degrees in education at the moment that we have available, and I'm just going to very quickly take you through what they are and the careers and the progression routes from those particular programmes. So we have an education studies degree, which has just been through revalidation this year. And what the education studies degree attempts to do is it gives the students a broad brush knowledge of education across all age ranges in the sector. So it includes evaluation of children's learning, adults learning and young people. So we cover things like pedagogy and andragogy. We cover the history of education and education philosophy. Students also complete research in education and look at politics and change in education. Now, the idea about the programme itself is really set up for youngsters who don't really, they know they might want a career in education, but they're not really sure what type of age range that they want to work in. So what that does, it gives them the opportunity to work, to learn about and to work across all age ranges, across a range of educational settings. So we find that, you know, students who come onto this degree go on to a range of careers, and both in children, adult and young people's services. So things such as, you know, assessors, coaching and mentoring, administrators, even educational settings, teaching assistants. And we do have some students who've done this degree who go on to teacher training for the post-14 sector. And we've got some exciting developments about our teacher training, which I will come to a little bit later. Okay, we also have as progression for those students an MA in education, and we have a new programme in trauma-informed practice, which is kind of contemporary and cutting edge, based on cutting edge research that's done by some of our staff here at Teesside. We've also got an MA social work, which is a qualifying social work degree, because we do get some students that come onto education programmes that you know, that they get a bit more awareness, if you like, of what social work might be, and they're quite keen to pursue that. And so there are opportunities for students to do social work, a qualifying social work degree at master's level as well as a progression route. And if they really want to stay at university for a long time with me, they can stay around and do an education doctorate. So the second programme is the BA in Childhood and Youth Studies. So this programme is really focused on people who know that they want to work with kind of teenagers, young people, or primary and early years children. So it's more focused in that respect. So we don't cover adult education at all in this degree, and it starts to develop more specific areas of expertise around things like pedagogy for children and young people, about what it's like to be a young person in England or the UK at the minute, and the identity of being a child. It includes things like looking at the role of society in education, covers global education. And within this programme, we do have option modules to allow for specialisms to be developed. So some students that come on this decide so far who they want to be teachers. So we would encourage them to do modules more related to a teaching career as part of their programme. But others decide that they don't. They want to go into careers such as, voluntary sector, youth support or project management and so on. So those students would perhaps take a volunteering module or a mentoring module or something a little bit different. So what it does, it just gives the students the opportunity to, if you like, develop the skill space according to the career path that they think they might want to go on. And again, the students that come on this programme, we do have a fair number of students who do go on to do teacher training in primary education, which is primarily where they end up. Some students from this programme also do the teacher training for post-14 sector, which gives them qualified teacher learning and skill status, so they can teach in schools in a post-14 environment. And again, we've got the MA and the EdD routes because they're, standard for everybody who wants to progress through to master's level programmes. Okay, the third programme we have is a programme that probably, I would probably say most people are the most aware of across the department, which is the Early Childhood Studies degree. So this programme is going to go through review next year because we've been evaluating the student careers and where the students go to, and we've been asking them about what they feel the curriculum should look like, given the fact that most of them don't end up working in early years. Most of them end up in primary settings. So we're reviewing it to change to a BA Honours in Childhood Studies. So we're removing the early years aspect of, or the early aspect of it, because of currency and validity in today's workforce. It's more appropriate for the types of students that we get. So as you can see, this programme focuses exclusively on children up to primary age and up to secondary age, and like to primary and around that kind of area. So it covers things like notions of childhood, children's development, pedagogy in young children. So how do young children learn? Working across different organisations, because we have like multi-agency working in early years sector, and again, things like language and literacy and understanding special needs if people want to develop specialisms in a particular area. Okay, also that comes through in this programme is a focus around safeguarding and protection. So in terms of this programme, the careers there, you can see the majority, I would say, go on to do QTS, either in as a PGCE qualifying degree or with schools direct or SCITS or other teacher training opportunities. But again, there's a lot of students that come on this programme that don't want to be teachers, and they will go into a range of roles as identified there that you can see. I don't need to read them out, you can see them. So that's where we are at the moment with them. And then we have our social work degree, which is a qualifying social work degree, undergraduate level. And I've just listed some of the areas there that the students cover. I'm not sure whether social work is actually what you're interested in as part of this knowledge exchange network, but it is part of the portfolio that I'm looking after. So I thought it would be worth just including it, just to remind people that it's there. So this programme, as I said, it's qualifying. So a large element of this course is around working in practice placement and demonstrating evidence of the social work qualifying standards, which are required because at the end of the programme, if you want to be a social worker, you have to be able to register with Social Work England. And to do that, you need to have an appropriate degree. So you can see I've listed there some of the examples of how placement is split up. So in year one, students, if you like, get an introduction to placement, they do some work shadowing. And then as they move into year two and year three, they then become, if you like, key role workers within their organisation. So they actually are acting as social workers. They have caseloads, they have their own areas to work in the institutions. So they are really like employed within the institution as part of their programme. And we have obviously the progression for these students in terms of career is either social work if they qualify, or social care. Some students are not really interested in becoming a social worker as such at the end of it, but they are interested in social care. So that provides opportunities for them to move into that area. And then we have a progression route becoming available, which is in trauma-informed practice for social workers. We're finding that there's an increasing demand for educators and social workers to be aware and able to deal with trauma. It's become even more apparent since the COVID-19 crisis. You know, the kids going back into primary school and secondary school, frightened, scared, not really understanding what's going on. So we've developed a range of trauma-informed CPD and programs, of which part of our, if you like, bigger offer in terms of full-time programs is around trauma and trauma-informed practice. Okay, so just in terms of what students gain from coming to one of our programs. So just to be clear that all students are provided with the opportunity to complete work placement, you know, in a relevant area for them. So, you know, we visit organisations as well, such as Kids Connect, which is a youth service based in Eston and Middlesbrough, and Forest Schools. We do get involved with lots of local projects with the Literacy Trust. So we have students in early years going out to, which is going to become childhood studies. I'll have to stop saying that, I've been saying it for so long. Going out into primary schools and doing paired reading and supporting the development of the children in those settings, particularly in socially deprived areas. So in Middlesbrough, we've had a lot of students that go out and become part of the local teams, if you like, within the schools. And that's good for them because then that helps the students to make the links with the teacher training providers. A lot of the places that the students go out on actually, you know, offer skits or offer QTS courses, and that they know our students, and our students are snapped up actually into those places. And partly we think it's because of the relationship that we have with the students. So they also have expert speakers from a range of career settings, and we do have opportunities for value added for our students. For example, if students want to, they can complete a Makaton course, which is certificated, and we get external people to come in and deliver that, and it's up to students if they want to do it or not. And we also have internships and ranges of experience and opportunities, not only in our country, but abroad, so in Malaysia, special needs schools and other areas. So just to keep you up to date on this very exciting, well, it is for me, new development. We've wanted for quite some time to get into teacher training at Teesside University, and I'm happy to report that the DFE are supporting us now through the validation process. So we will, in the next 3 years, be able to offer some qualifying QTS PGCEs at Teesside for the first time in a long time, at least since 2002, I think was the last iteration I can remember of this. So as a result of this, we're putting preparatory degrees in place for students to access. So from September 21, so into the next recruitment cycle, we will have an education with mathematics and an education with computing, which will provide students with the subject knowledge that they need to go on to do subject-specific qualifying PGCEs at Teesside, with us here at Teesside, in partnership with our local secondary schools. So this is very exciting for me. It's all new, and what we will then, obviously, as a result of this, have the progression from these degrees and other areas as well. It's not just these are just the ones that we're developing at the moment. We will have a range of qualifying teacher trainers for secondary education sector at Teesside University, which will focus primarily across teacher shortage areas, and you know, a big kind of rationale for the DFE supporting Teesside in this area is our civic role as a university in Tees Valley, and about supporting the development of the local teaching workforce, so training teachers in Teesside, for our local schools, etc., etc. So that's a really, really exciting development for us, and something that is new that we can offer. And I'm kind of getting towards the end now. I think I might have overrun slightly. So we do, I just want to come back to the master's level stuff that we've got available. As I said, there's been an increase in demand for our expertise in trauma-related education. we have a summer school university module that is absolutely so popular that we have to run it 4 or 5 times, and it's around adverse childhood experiences. So building on the current need of that we're kind of getting from evidence from our network. So, for example, Tees Valley Education and broader educational networks. We have been developing and working on a range of trauma-informed programs. So at the moment, we have an MA Education in Trauma-Informed Practice, which is really, really successful. It's ran for its first year last year, and the link on the bottom is an example of some students, you know, who have gone through that route and what they've got from it and how they've benefited from it. So I think it might be quite nice to share that so people can see that and read that. So we are developing a number of postgraduate certificates and MAs focused on education, so on learning and teaching, and also separate ones for social care and social work. So we, you know, what we want to do is to respond to the workforce needs that are being identified to us. As you know, schools are crying out for people who are trauma aware, who can work in a trauma informed way. And we're at the forefront nationally of this. We were the first university in the country to have an MA in trauma for education, and we're continuing to build on that work. And also, as part of the reapproval of the BA Childhood Studies, which will be Childhood Studies, there's going to be some trauma built into that programme as well. So the students that do those programmes and then go on to do qualifying PGCE primary routes, which I hope we will get in time, but you've got to start somewhere, and we've got the secondary. We'll give them an opportunity to learn about trauma-informed practice, which will be a big string to their bow when they apply for their teacher training places, because it's not something that everybody is doing, but it's absolutely vital for those people at the moment that are working with children, especially, as I say, in socially deprived areas like ours. So I just wanted to quickly show you this. I mean, I don't need to go through it, I don't think, but this is just an example of some of the work that we've been doing. Hope you're quick readers.
Can't actually see it, Sharon. Are you showing it?
Can you not see it? Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
Sorry.
I thought we were just waiting for it. I think you'll have to stop sharing that screen and share your new screen. It's all right.
Well, I mean, the thing, the information is on the. I shall try and share that one again. Let me just see if I can. Sorry about that, folks. Sorry, can you see it now?
It's good. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the link's on the slides, but it's just something that we're really, really proud of, that we're at the forefront of this at Teesside. And we're lucky enough to have Lynn Miles, who was an absolute star, and it's just so good. And Lynn's contact details as well. If anyone is interested in pursuing that or wants Lynn to talk to them about any aspects of that, we have her email there. Okay, sorry I wasn't sharing that there. I forgot about that part.
That's fine. It's really, really informative. I have to say as well, I can attest to Lynn, because my mum's a childminder and she's actually taking part in Lynn's summer university courses, and she's absolutely loving it.
Oh,
So,
everyone just completely raves about it, and getting her into the degrees as well, which is part of our longer term plan. But we can't cut her in two. That's the trouble that we have. I wish we could split her into two and have two of her.
Everybody raves about her. She's fab, isn't she?
She's amazing. She's amazing. And we've got the social work team on board now, and obviously they've got their own ideas around trauma with people who've been through social work settings and need to access social work and social care services. So it's really exciting. We're dead excited about the whole lot of new things, particularly the teacher training and the trauma. So if you've got any questions for me, I can try and answer them.
Have a quick look for you, Sharon. Nothing. If anybody does have any questions, please feel free to either unmic or post them in the chat section if you do have any specific queries. I think there's a couple of the members of the recruitment team actually on this call. They've got their cameras turned off. I'm going to out them a little bit because they didn't want to have to do their hair and makeup. Just really.
I didn't do my hair and makeup, but I'm here.
And I think they're going to be over the moon to hear, because as a recruitment team, we get asked about education and PGCE and so much. So it's going to be really exciting to have that as an option for students.
Yeah, I think we have to be a little bit cautious, because I think that I don't want the message about to get lost in it. We still don't have primary. It's on the books. Tees Valley Education are desperate for us to get qualifying primary, because they want us to train their special needs teachers who are going to be in the new school, which is on the Nature's World site. We've got we've got a memorandum of agreement with the Tees Valley Education that have 5 primary schools. So we're desperate to get that to support them. But we're just, with the DFE, it's a process of give and take, so we're working with them. But I am hopeful that, the next step after we get the secondary PGC place, we will get some primary in particular areas. Fingers crossed.
Brilliant.
I'm very hopeful.
Clive,
I think Clive's got a question there,
yeah,
Dave.
do you want to unmute Clive? Go for it. Yeah, you. Are you there, Clive?
Bit of interference there.
I'm not sure. Can you hear us, Clive? Did you have a question?
I mean, I'm happy. I mean, my details are on the end of the slides, my email address and everything. So,
yeah, I think, yeah.
I'm happy for people to contact me if they want to.
Sorry, my screen, everything just froze then.
Ah, there we go.
So, Sharon, I just have a quick question. Is it MA in social work funded?
The MA in social work, the qualifying one, or the one that I've mentioned today?
The one you mentioned today, the MA.
The MA trauma in social work. Ooh, it depends what you mean by funded. I guess I'll have to hand you over to the people who might know about that. Do you know anything about that, guys?
I don't know off the top of my head what we
Not
probably
something
do.
that I get involved with. I've just developed the courses.
What we'll do is I'll chase it up for you, Clive, and have a look. We'll speak to the finance team, because it's a good question. Because the MA social work isn't it, Sharon?
It is, yeah. There's bursaries as well for social work, for the MA qualifying social work and the BA. There's bursaries attached to that.
Is that the NHS bursary as well? Is it eligible for the social work, or does that not fall in?
I'm not sure where the bursaries come from, but I just know they all get them.
What I'll do is, Clive, we'll add that to our Q&A sheet that we send around after this session, and we'll find the answers out for you. So it'll be in with the notes and the recording from this meeting, because that is a good question actually. Yeah, I
mean, the programmes at the minute are in development, and we've got the planned delivery date. So it's from next September. So, it is a postgraduate award, and it is professionally relevant, but it doesn't give you any kind of professional status. It's not like QTS or anything like that. So I guess it might just fall into the normal funding package for postgrad, but we probably need to check that.
Yeah, we'll double check that and send that out with the Q&As. But yeah, good question. I think Clive's actually just dropped off. He's lost his signal.
It looks like it, doesn't
but
it?
We'll answer it for him later. Does anybody else have any questions for Sharon while she's here? We haven't had anything pop into the group, but like I say, we can always share the presentation. If you do have any specific questions, we can always pass those on to Sharon as well if you think of anything later on.
Yeah, and my email's in the slides. They can just click the link and and email me as well if they want to. But I'm
Brilliant.
happy to talk about, you know, to talk to anybody at any time about any of what we do. So just yeah.
Fab, thank you.
Listening.
Thank
I've
you so
enjoyed
much for that. It was interesting.
It's
It's
nice for
exciting
me.
as well. Yeah,
It's very exciting.
sounds
Very
really
exciting.
interesting. Fab, thank you so much, Sharon. What
It's all
I'll
right.
do is, we've got a little bit of, as I said at the beginning, we expect this every time we run over. It's always mine and Kate's fault because we talk too much at the beginning.
Right, so I'm going to say bye now.
Oh, thanks.
All
Bye,
right,
Sharon.
I'll send the slides to you, Kate, shall I?
Yes, please, that'd be great, and we'll get them
Lovely.
sent out.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye,
Sharon.
everyone. Nice to see you. Bye.
So what we'll do now is Kate and I have a little sort of working topic that we're going to maybe just throw some questions around and ask you guys some things and see how you feel about our subject specific online content, but also finding out a little bit about what other universities are doing. Is there anything they are doing that we're not? Is there anything that you want to see specifically? So we'll cover that, maybe not in as much detail as we're going to, because I don't want to give you guys a chance to ask any questions you have. So as you know, that we've been pushing for quite a few weeks now, we have recently developed our Teachers and Advisors web pages on teach.ac.uk. And these pages were basically for you guys to use as resources, as a way to find out who you need to contact if you wanted to book a session, invite us to an event, really like that source of information when it comes to the student recruitment team and the activity that we deliver. So what we are really interested in is we are in the process of developing some subject specific resources and assets, some videos, some maybe taster workshops and things like that. And please feel free to take your mics off and shout out or post in the chat if you want to. But I am really interested in what the range of resources you've found during this period in terms of what universities have to offer. Is there anything in particular that you find has worked really well? Is there anything that's not as good? I know, for example, and I by no means expect large numbers to turn up, I've delivered quite a few Teams live sessions, which have been brilliant because we've been able to get that face-to-face interaction. But we do know and we expect when we deliver these sort of online events that you don't get the numbers that you might get when you're physically in a classroom, because we can't physically force them to log in, which is a shame. So we are really interested in what type of subject specific content you'd like to see. Are you aware of anything that does already exist that you think works well? What we want to do is we want to make sure that we're maintaining the information that's available for the year 12s as they're progressing into year 13, because I'm conscious that although it's the summer, they may want to still keep dipping in and doing bits and pieces and getting a taste of what's available for them. So does anybody have any feelings on this or any ideas? Have you seen anything that works? It might not necessarily need to be a university, it might be a different company or somewhere that you think does work well. Or in terms of your teaching, have you found anything that you've particularly engage your students? I suppose that's what I'd be interested in, seeing if anybody has any opinions. You can all be radio silent, but please do somebody say something. Do we have any suggestions or any?
Yeah, because one of the things that business were looking at development was the online dark tourism sessions. So that's one of the things that they were looking at doing and developing. And it's whether you think things like that would go down well in the classroom, or you think tutors would actually find them useful. So that's one of the things that businesses kind of proposed to do. And it's whether you think that the subject areas would also find things like that useful as well, I guess.
Do we have anyone that has any opinions? Clive's got his hand up again, but is that on purpose, Clive? No, okay. Do we have any opinions? I'm just waiting to see if anybody is typing anything or if you have any thoughts. We are always, as well, I'm going to be quite brutally honest, a little bit nosy as to what other universities are doing. So have they thought of anything? We'd like, obviously, sharing best practice and stuff. Have they been delivering anything in particular? Have you found that any certain formats have worked well for engaging the students whilst they're at home? I'm going to start picking on people as well, like I'm a teacher at the front of a class, to ask people. I normally go off to Carol because she normally has something to say. Are you there? Clive's got his hand up. Do you mean to do that this time, Clive? No.
No.
Fab.
Sorry, my computer's playing up. I've just had to reset the router, so who knows?
That's That's all right. Oh, Carl, what have you got to say? Have you got anything to share? You need to unmute, Carl.
Can you hear me now, Jade?
Yeah.
It should be sticking a bit. So it's not like a subject specific thing. It's just something that we've done with Future Me, like the Outreach Northeast Hub. There's like a lot of pre-application ideas for the students, but generally when students want that, they don't think about visiting our website because it's not, although they do know what Future Me is, I don't think they realise the resources there. And they're more likely to go to like the university of choice to find those resources. So for year 12s, it'd be something, what I've seen as well with our year 13s is how underprepared some of them are, especially at like certain sites. So I don't know if you do anything around, I know you offer like support on like personal statements and how to do a UCAS application, blah, blah, blah. But something like kind of centralized, that's easy for them to follow through, like some kind of guideline or time frame of what they can do, like to think about over the summer and what they should be expecting to do in year 13. Because obviously we do that anyways with them. Like once they're at college in year 12, but once it gets that summer break and we can't actually get to them, it might be handy for them to have something they can go to. But yeah, nothing subject specific, just in general, really.
Well, that might be timely then, Jade, for me coming to show the resources that we currently have. Yeah,
definitely.
As Jade said, we've been developing our web pages over the last few months, really. And one of the things that we have come up with is some kind of CPD resources. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen, but I'm not holding out much hope. 2 moments.
People are getting more and more adventurous with Teams, with the screen sharing and things. It's brilliant.
Can you see that?
We can.
Hey. Right, so these are our teachers and advisors pages, but we're looking at developing these to make them more relevant for students who are in year 13, year 12 and access students. So they're a little bit more friendly for those. At the moment, they're very much directed at teachers and advisors. So we are looking at kind of restyling these really so they are more applicable. But we've got a link and it's resources. And under here, we've got a range of resources for preparing for university. So we've got applying. So there's a presentation, and then we're going to do some CPD resources. So I'm trying to think which one has them at the moment. So personal statements, for example, there's a presentation there that I think is delivered by me, actually, about personal statements and hints and tips. Then there's a UCAS advice card, which does have things on there, like Carl was saying there, about a bit of a timeline about what students should be doing and when. And then there's our personal statements resources pack. I won't open that because I don't think it'll do what I want it to do. But in there is worksheets for students to start work on, looking at what they should include in the personal statements. There's good and bad examples of personal statements, and we're hoping that we're going to do this for each of the elements. So there's the interview skills there, the student finance, and then there's the vibe, which is our student blog, and there's loads of information in there about work placements and what they can be doing over the summer. So that's it. That is a useful section on our teachers and advisors pages under resources. But as I've said, we are looking at making this more user friendly for students year 12, year 13 and access students as well. So that's just a little bit of an update on that.
And we're going to, within that page as well, I'll just jump back in because you can sort of see that's got to quite a good place with a lot of content. We are looking to develop the subject specific areas as well. So it would be really good, we'd appreciate it, as we know you do with most things we send out, that people share details with your subject contact within the schools and colleges, because we know that they do have a massive influence in the students and their information. So we are going to develop the subject specific pages so that there's a little bit more information on there for that subject specific stuff, that facility stuff. You can see Lisa, who has just left. Sorry, Lisa, I should have read this before you left. But Lisa's just said, so any sort of VR type stuff would be helpful for students to get an idea of life at uni and course content. So if we have anything like this available, I will respond to Lisa with an email as well of this. So this is something that obviously we were looking to develop. And Kate actually kickstarted things like our drone footage of campus. So students are starting to see what campus is like, because we are very conscious that people can't get on campus. But that's been developed a little bit more, isn't it, Kate? Did you want to talk about the pins and the buildings and things so people would get?
Yeah, so what we were very conscious of when this happened is that we didn't have a great deal of things kind of showing the campus and showing what facilities were in what buildings. And then with the need to do the virtual open days and things, we've really had to develop that quite quickly, which is a good thing, I think, really, to be honest. So there's the drone footage now, so students can have a look at the campus and see where things are on the campus. We've also got a lovely animation map, so they can look on the buildings and see what facilities are in each facilities, easy for you to say, are in each building. And then we're hoping to develop that as well. So eventually we're going to have actual footage that will go into the buildings and kind of have a look at all the facilities and things like that as well. And that is coming. We do have that at the moment for some facilities, but some of it's out of date, like the School of Health stuff is quite out of date now. So we're looking at kind of really bringing all of that up to date to have that information available as well.
And that will also sit on the subject specific one. It's on the likes of your School of Health building where all the facilities are available. Hopefully you'll be able to get an insight into, right, I'm a nursing student, so these are the things that I'm going to have access to. I'm going to have access to the labs and the suites. And we also have my brain's gone dead, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, accommodation. So I know a lot of you are local, so it's unlikely students are going to be looking, but some of you aren't. So for those of you who might have students that want to move to campus, that's available within accommodation as well. So you can actually get a 360 view of the different types of accommodation that are available and the different rooms and the social spaces. So there are elements of it in the website. There's not a page that just has everything there. But I think what might be good, Kate, is if we almost pull a link together of those types of things, if people would like that they can share with students so they can physically see as much as we can show them.
It's difficult when you're trying to navigate a website, isn't it, and see where the facilities are for this and the accommodation is for this. So yeah, that might be useful. Another thing we're going to start. We've got quite a lot and have pulled a lot together. Student ambassador videos. We've pulled a lot of that together over the summer. So we're hoping that at subject level they will also fit on the subject specific web pages. Again, as Jade was saying, I think sometimes we can talk to students at HE fairs, but we work for the uni, so they don't always believe us. They tend to believe their peers a little bit more, so kind of making it a little bit more about student ambassadors and putting that information on the web pages as well. But if you've got any ideas or if you come across anything or anything that you maybe didn't want to mention in this meeting, please let Jade or I know, because we really are interested in what you think would benefit your students on these pages, in terms of either subject material or just general progression material.
Absolutely. I've not had any other comments, so what I might do is these last 4 minutes now, it was 5, if we want to just move over. Yes, is that Will?
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Can I just comment on that as well?
It was almost like God speaking to me there, Will, because I couldn't see you. I could just hear your voice. Please go ahead.
I was just going to say, obviously, just because of what we were talking about yesterday on these pages and that sort of thing, it's probably worth, with the people in the room that we've got, saying that part of the discussion we've been having around this as well is obviously with a nod to the autumn term coming up, and obviously how we can try and deliver some kind of activity. Now, clearly, on-campus activity is going to be limited, if and therefore part of these pages that Jade and Kate are looking at is obviously also around any kind of online delivery that we can try and do, and we're having discussions with our academic schools around that at the moment. And I just thought it's probably worth kind of mentioning or asking you guys now, because we will be getting in touch with all the kind of the feeder institutions moving forward, as to what you kind of think would work for that period of time. Now, from our perspective, clearly you're going to have a lot of additional teaching to catch up on for the year 12s who will be returning in as year 13s. But we're kind of conscious of trying to offer some kind of normal service if possible. So where we may normally run a health discovery day, clearly we're not going to be able to do that on campus in the same way we normally would, but we may be able to do something online that can still be of benefit to students, and they can obviously still engage in some way. So I guess really it's just, if maybe not for now because I know time's pressing, but kind of if you want to get in touch with Jade or Kate after this with anything, it's just kind of thinking what would work for you guys. We're quite happy to, we're going to set some dates and we'll have some kind of live events that students can log into and engage with, but we're also quite happy to take a bespoke approach with a lot of our kind of local schools and colleges that we know there'll be a lot of students that want to hear from us and from academic staff. So if there's anything you think would kind of work there, if it's a case of something as simple as when you've got, some health students in a room, there's an opportunity there for us to actually engage with a health academic, and kind of make that interaction, then great. But it's just kind of, I guess, having a think about what may work in that autumn term if we do have to do obviously a lot more online delivery than we normally would do, and how we can kind of make that as effective as possible for your students, so that they're actually getting what they want from it. So obviously the website is still there, the pages will be there, which will have all of that kind of supplementary information that Kate and Jade are mentioning there. But I guess from that live element, any thoughts that you guys have on what we could be doing to make that as good as possible would be much appreciated. Like I said, we are kind of cracking on with trying to get something in place, but as ever, kind of hearing from you guys would be really useful.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to jump in. This is going to be my catchphrase of this session, but Clive, your hand is up. Did you want to say something?
Yes, this time I do actually. Thanks, Jane. Apart from me demonstrating how not to do any form of virtual meeting with the dog barking and the laptop being pulled out, etc., etc. A couple of things about the webpage, Kate. At the moment, we're finding we've got far too much general information coming in from everywhere. So what I would like, if possible, please, is to have everything signposted, whether it's subject specific or general. But I think I've got about a dozen different universities offering personal statement advice, and it's too general personal statement advice, which often doesn't fit with health and social care students. Yeah. Normally we get admission tutors in to give talks to the students. Clearly, I don't think that's going to happen this year. So could it be possible for an admission tutor to video the talk she would give and have that online, or failing that, a virtual admissions tutors talk that we could have a meeting with, that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, is it normally a subject talk that you have, so they come in and talk about how that subject is taught at higher education, or is it a general applying for health and social care courses?
It's applying. So like we get Jane, who's saying I've just instantly forgotten, she'll kill me. Jane Woods, thank you. Yeah, nursing. So she covers nursing midwifery.
Right.
And
So
on.
Something we can share then. I know that Scott, who's our the admissions student for the School of Health, has been working on pulling together some health specific information. So things like you say, a personal statement is very different for a health student than most of the students. And Scott has been working on that and got almost like a little bit of a guide for health students. So what to expect at an interview, because as you know, a health interview is very different to a generic interview. So we'll maybe look to develop those a little bit more, and that might be something we can share. But something I would say, those talks that we would normally have ran, we absolutely can look to arrange those, whether it's virtually, whether it's live or pre-recorded, whatever works. We are very keen to keep those interactions happening. So if you want to drop one of us an email, please do, and we'll and we'll pick that up and try and get some bits and pieces organised, Clive, even if it is for September forward. But
I think one of the good things to come out of this is that academics seem to be a lot more comfortable using this type of software. Yeah. So if we've maybe asked them a few months ago to do a Teams meeting with a group of students talking about their kind of speciality course, I think they might get a bit nervous and not want to do it, whereas they're having to do it now, and I think they're feeling a lot more comfortable. So a lot more opportunities for us to do kind of online content things.
Oh God, sorry, there was one more thing. Yeah. For the year 13s, if we're not going to get them actually physically into a university this year, could we have something like a year 13 preparing for university guide for later on in the year, like this time next year, or possibly about May? So like things like what textbooks would they need to be looking at for a particular course, just things like that, just to give them something to focus on, ready for the transition to university.
To keep them busy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And one of our student ambassadors has actually recently he took part in the UK Unisearch webinar Wednesday, and he did a really short, I think it was 5-minute video on what to pack when you move away to university. And it was, I watched it, and he was talking about things that I wouldn't have even thought about, making sure you take your passport and things like that. So it's about whether we maybe look to put a a few snippets of videos together that are only short, so that students kind of stay engaged with them, but on things like reading lists and what to take to uni and things like that might be really useful for us to maybe think about, Jade.
Yeah, definitely. I've made a note of that. We'll follow that up. Does anybody else have any other questions? I'm reading a bit, and I know, Pat, I've just tagged you in a reply there in case you haven't seen it. So just about obviously missing the health discovery days and stuff, and they are a big part of a lot of the colleges' calendars. So we can have a chat with yourself and Amy Thompson about that and see what we can do. Does anybody else have any ideas on this subject area? Because I'm conscious of time, and please do feel free if you need to leave. We understand with overrun, we do all the time. Does anybody else have any other questions on this or anything to say? And also, does anybody else have any generic questions? We do like to give 5 minutes just in case anybody has anything specific to ask us or something not necessarily related to what we're talking to. So we'll maybe just spend 5 minutes if anybody else has anything else to say.
Steph asked a message there about optometry.
Just reading it.
Yeah, we are still waiting on this information from our admissions.
So Steph, the admissions team are having to just currently look at the curriculum for the applied science course to see whether it meets the requirements for the optometry. So I will chase that up again. I did chase it up at the beginning of the week, but we'll try and get a response. It's going to take a little bit longer than just a yes or no, because it's going to require the admissions tutors to look at the module content in the applied science course. But yeah, we're on it. We haven't forgotten. I know Tina's emailed me a couple of times. I keep saying we're working through it. So we'll hopefully get a response for that as well, because that's a follow-up from the optometry presentation that we had a couple of weeks ago. And we're just, with it being a new course, we're still looking to clarify some of the entry requirements. So hopefully that's helpful. Does anybody else have anything they want to mention? Or you can all go crazy and turn your mics off now if you want. There's not that many of us here. Carol, you're very quiet. Are you still here? We've got Carol, we've got Emma. Does anybody else have anything to say? Feel free, like I say, it doesn't have to be Carol's here. Yes, I am. Any questions, Carol, or are you good? We all happy? Like I say, we are obviously contactable. If you think of anything else, or if you haven't wanted to say anything on here, please do drop. If you're northeast based, you're obviously one of my contacts, drop me an email. Clive?
Yeah, sorry, just a quick one about clearing. I know you mentioned it's still to be confirmed. Do you know if there's any health and social care courses that are still
Available?
Oh, that's the word I wanted. Thank you.
Yeah, there are quite a few. There are a couple of nursings. I'm going to say, if I say any that I'm wrong, please, Will, Kate, feel free to correct me. Mental health nursing still available. I want to say LD nursing is still available. Is
adult? Yeah.
I thought it was.
ODP. OT.
So still
To
quite
be
a few.
honest, by a general rule of
Paramedics
thumb, it tends to be anything other than midwifery and adult nursing, doesn't it? Although adult is actually open this year.
And paramedic.
And child and dental.
Wow.
So they're your full ones. So in terms of closed, we've got adult nursing is closed, dental is closed, paramedic is closed. Or what was the other one? Midwifery is closed. Generally, the other ones are still open. Diagnostic radiography does still have places as well at the moment.
As does physio.
And I say at the moment because I don't imagine it will stay like that for very long.
No, we've just got someone into diagnostic radiography, so I haven't got any more.
At Teesside, I know.
Of course.
Yes, like I say, within health, we're in that early stage where there are still spaces, but I don't envisage it lasting very long. So if you do have those students, they might be lucky and get a chance to get in before they're closed.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for that.
Cool. Okie dokie. So a couple of updates before we leave, and thank you all for hanging on to this. Is that somebody else's hand up? Oh no, it's just still Clive's. Fab, sorry. So for the next session, which will be in 2 weeks' time, we're going to look to have somebody from our Student Futures team. So we're going to have Sam Forbes coming in to deliver a session on career pathways and the support services that are available to students once they get to Teesside in terms of careers and student futures. So just to give you a heads up on that a little bit earlier. The next session will be on the 16th of July, 2 p.m. till 3 p.m. unless anybody has any strong feelings about the times, we're very flexible. If you'd rather have it on a morning, let us know and we can look to alternate that. Like I've mentioned, the previous sessions are all available on YouTube, but you'll get your follow-up email with this recording, and any questions that have been asked, we'll answer them and include those in the documents. And as usual, I will include a feedback link on the email, which I know we all get sick of filling out evaluations and feedbacks, but it really helps us to be able to tweak the sessions, make sure that they're what you want, but also it helps us to justify running these types of sessions. So please do the feedback, that would be lovely. But it has been lovely speaking. I'm just going to check, I've just had one notification. Carol's there. Thanks, Carol, you're so kind. If in the meantime, within the next 2 weeks, you do have any questions, as usual, drop us an email. But I do hope that was useful for everybody. I hope you've learned a little bit about education as well. That's very exciting, the PGCEs that are coming. So brilliant. And yeah, is everybody else happy? Does anyone have anything to add? No? Lovely. Well, it was great to see you all, and we'll be in touch about the next session. Thank you all for attending.
Thanks very much,
Thank you.
everyone.
See you. Bye.
Bye.